Hey guys, it's Casey and welcome back for part 12 of our tower defense tutorial. I believe we are going to do two more videos and we will be done. It will be this one and one more. What I want to deal with in this video is I want to deal with tower experience and tower upgrades. So I'm going to split them into two different things, and the first thing we're going to set up is tower experience. We're going to pretend like after our towers get so many kills, they will hit some tier of upgrade, and with that tier, they might do, let's say, additional damage. So inside of our tower blueprint, what we want to do is we want to keep track of how much experience does this tower have. So inside of our variables, let's create one, and we will call it experience, and we will make it an integer. And with this integer, what we can do is we can up our experience by a certain amount. So let's actually back up. What if we want our enemies to give different experience? I guess let's set that up first. So let's go inside of our runners. Inside of our runners, let's go inside of our runner struct, and let's set up their XP for kill. Just like everything we've been doing in like the last episode or two, this really just becomes small handiwork to add this new functionality. It's just thinking it through. And I just know if we want our runners to have different XP, we need to put it inside of our data table. So let's make our first wave, let's make them give 1 XP per kill, and there's 10, so that'd be a total of 10 XP that wave. Let's make these guys give 5, let's make these guys give 2, so the XP kind of evens out every wave. And now what we can do is that inside of our, inside of our spawner code, we need to now feed this to our runners. So what we can do is we can make a new space, we can go inside of our runners, and this is where maybe I regret a little bit not putting our runner code to use the runner struct, which if you find that this is a little annoying for you to add all these extra nodes every time we add a new variable onto our runners, then I encourage you go for it. Instead of storing these individual variables, store the whole runner variable. But for me, this is kind of an exercise of doing a little bit of more work to add to our runners versus performance. We are store a lot less of our runner variable by not storing that entire variable, because remember, we're storing a lot of things based on like wave, based on things like run speed and enemy count and spawn speed, stuff that's more relevant to our spawner, so it's just kind of give and take. It's really not that unperformant though. If you wanted to store that information, all of that inside of the runner, it's really not that big of a deal. So inside of our runner, just as we do bounty, we'll do XP, we'll set that to be an integer, we will go into our spawner, and now off of our cast to our runner, we will set XP, we will plug that in anywhere along this line, and we will plug that into our runner struct. Now with that set up, our runners know how much XP they give, and now what we can do is inside of our runner, we need to let the runner know what tower killed the runner. So let's think about that for a second. This is a little different. We're going to have a bunch of towers in our level. We need to know which one kills our runner. And what we really need to know is we need to know which tower, which projectile kills our runner. So off of event damage, we get a damage causer. And I believe, let's print this real quick. Let's see what this prints back. I believe this will tell us who the projectile is. I believe that's what that reference is. So let's see here. Let's grab that. Let's take our damage causer and let's see what this prints back to us. So when we hit one of our runners, we will print who that damage causer is. So let's hit play. We'll scroll over, we'll build our bush, and we will spawn. So that's printing back nothing. So I believe why that is printing back nothing is because we did not set up the damage causer when we spawned the projectile. So I think what this comes from is over here there is an instigator, and it's the pawn responsible for damage caused by this actor. And if we get a reference to ourself, I believe we can plug that in. So no, it wants a pawn reference. So we need to really that we can't do that in there. Let's get what do we need to get here? This is inside of our tower, so we need to get the pawn of our tower. That's quite interesting. What's a pawn reference? I don't really like that. I think there is a way to set this up, but I don't really like that it wants a pawn reference, because this is an actor, this isn't a pawn, so I don't like that. We're not a pawn. Our tower is not a pawn, it's an actor. So we actually need to do one more set of code. I didn't think we would need this extra step. So inside of our projectile, if we grab our projectile, which is inside of our tower, I believe, and we have our tower projectile. I want to store inside of this, I want to call this our tower, let's call it our tower owner. I just want to call it that because that is the tower that owns this projectile. It's going to be the tower that shot this projectile. And with that, I want to make it instance editable, and I want to expose it on spawn. And then inside of our tower, when we spawn our projectile, I want to get that pin. So let's refresh it real quick. Let's get back to our tower projectile, and now we have our tower owner. And now if we get a reference to self, we can plug tower. Oh, I made the wrong variable. So inside of our projectile, I accidentally made that a builder tower. I just need that to be a tower BP. That was my issue there, my mistake. So now inside of our tower, did that update to tower BP? We can plug, nope, we need to refresh that node, I think. That's a little annoying. Tower projectile, and now that should be able to plug in, and I just need to alt click that red pin, and that will make that disappear. So now our projectile knows who the tower shot it is. So what I actually want to do is I don't want to use this apply damage node. We are going to make our own custom event to apply damage, because we can see here we get a damage causer. Oh, here we go. That's an actor reference now. Wait, so inside of our runner is the damage causer? Okay, so how about we actually use that node? Let's see if this works. Because now it wants the damage causer to be an actor reference. Now we just plug in the actor reference. I thought we would need to do one more step and make our own type of event. So let's see now. Let's see if that print string that we made inside of our runner dying, let's see if it prints our bush tower. So there we go. It knows what the tower is. It's just printing tower BP, but if I made a second bush, that one should say tower BP1. So there we go. Our runner now knows who is shooting it. So that's perfect. So if we go back to our runner, now this damage causer is a reference to the tower that is doing the damage. So from our projectile, we're feeding over who that tower is, and now with this damage causer reference, since it is just a vague actor object reference, we need to cast that to our tower BP, and we only want to do this when we kill, right? So we don't want this to be before that true, we want it to be after. So on kill, we want to go to our tower, and we want to get its experience. What do we call that? Get experience. And we want to add to its experience by the amount of XP, the XP that we have stored here that our runner is worth, and that we then want to set our tower's experience to be that resulting addition. That works for me. Let's move that over, gives ourselves some space. That works. And now what we can do is we can go inside of our tower and let's see. So what we want to do is we want to actually, I actually want to make a custom event. So the reason why I want to make a custom event is that we want to know when our tower hits a certain threshold to like level up, right? We want it to be maybe at 10 XP, our tower like goes to like it's level 2, like whatever it happens to be. If we just inside of our runner like we did here, do the addition here, we're not calling an event inside of our actor to be like, hey, did you level up? And I don't want to do that on tick. I don't want to on tick be checking if our tower has increased its XP. That's pointless. So I want to make a custom event, and I want to call this increase XP. And what I want to do is I want to, well, with it selected, make a new input, and we will call it XP increase. And as I've done in almost every video, we are going to change code that we literally just made. So I'm going to copy paste this real quick. I'm going to copy that, I'm going to delete it, and then I'm going to call that increase XP event. We're going to hook everything back up, and with this increase XP, I'm just going to toss in the XP variable. And now we can go back to our tower BP, and with that, I want to paste what we just had there. I believe we're going to have to remake all of this, but for visual purposes, we can at least grab it. So we don't want that, we don't want that, we want that to go there, this to go here, and that we want to do set experience, destroy that, and set that. So now we know when we increase our tower's experience, we now can just run, hey, did we level up? And we can just do a branch, and we can, inside of our tower, just store like what is the level threshold. So I'm going to call this, let's see, we'll call it level threshold, and we will also make one more variable, and we will call this, let's call this our current level. Current level. And what I'm going to do is inside this level threshold, I actually want to make this an array. And what I'm going to do inside of this array is I'm going to say, let's have 5 levels inside of our tower. Level 0, we're just going to leave it at 0 XP. That's the starting level of our tower. Let's say at 3 XP, we go to level 1. At 6 XP, we go level 2. Let's say 9, and let's just keep it consistent and say 12. And what I'm going to do here is let's give ourselves some more space. And I actually want to make one more custom event for this, and I'm going to call this, let's call it check level up. And actually off of this, I'm going to destroy that branch, and I'm just going to call that check level up, just in case we want to reuse this code elsewhere. I just want to call it so if we ever need to reuse this, we can just call that event and not have to worry about anything. So on the check level up, we are going to get our tower's current level. We are going to check the level threshold. So what we want to do is that if we start at level 0, by default, if we start at level 0, we want to check what the experience threshold for level 1 is. So we want to get out of our array, and we want to get the index that is +1 from our current level. If we're level 0, we want to get index 1 to check what that experience threshold is. So we're going to get level 1, and we're going to say, hey, have we hit that level? And we're going to say, is our current experience greater than or equal to that next level? And if it is, we're going to do a branch, and we are going to say on true, let's level up. And how do we level up? Well, we just get our current level and we increment it. That seems good to me. And now our tower will level up. And what I'm going to do is, for debug purposes, since we're not going to be able to visualize this level up, I'm going to print a string off of the end of it. And I'm going to say level, or actually let's do an append so we can say what level we've hit. We can say tower has reached level, and then on the second line I'm going to grab the current level, and that will tell us, hey, our tower has reached level so on. So inside of our runner, we're storing how much XP we give per kill, and then inside of our tower, we're storing our experience, and when we kill a runner, we're sending that tower that additional experience, and then we're going to check to see when we've leveled up, and we're going to store inside of this array what our level threshold is. So let's run our code, and let's see if we can get a tower to level up. So let's create 2 bushes, and hopefully I think our second bush will get almost all the kills here. I believe, actually no, our first tower, oh, there we go, we're spreading the XP. Let's see, hey, a tower has reached level 1, and let's see, it might actually hit level 2. There we go, it's hitting level 2. You can see we're leveling it up. It actually even hits level 3. And then what we could do, if we wanted to, is we can make this level mean something. For you, your level could mean whatever you want it to mean in your game. Here, simply, let's just make our tower do more damage. So by default, inside of our runner, or inside of our tower data table, we're making the bush do 10 damage. Maybe for each level, our tower will deal a certain % more damage. So I want to get the current level, and let's say at level 1, we deal 10% more damage. At level 2, we'll deal 20% damage, and so on. So I'm actually going to divide this integer. I want to divide it by a float so that we can get a decimal point. So with that, I'm going to convert it to a float, and I want to divide it by 10. Because at level 1, that will return 0.1. At level 2, that will return 0.2, and so on. And with that, I want to add 1 back into it so that it's like 1.2 or 1.1. Or even if we're at level 0 and we divide by 10, it'll be 0. I don't want to just multiply that 0 by our damage. If I add 1 to the 0, it'll just be 1, and that won't change our damage at all. And we can do float times float. We can multiply our damage by that XP modifier, and now our tower will deal more damage based on its experience level. So that's how easy it can be to set up anything you want. Like Lily, like this code right here, we can have our tower shoot faster. We can give it more range. We can have it do a lot of different things. So it's up to you what you want it to do, and it's up to you how you want this to articulate. Say you want your tower to flash really big. Maybe you want it to change meshes or something of that sort. You would do it right here. This is when we're checking our level up, and off of this true, we're leveling up. So right here, we can check to see, like, hey, this is when we're leveling up. What should we do? Let's do our sparkles. Let's do our emitters. Let's change our mesh. That's really how easy it is. Let's see. What else do we want to do? So there's one more thing that I want to make in our tutorial, but I think I'm going to put it on one separate video, and that's going to be upgrading our tower. So that if we wanted to, we could select our tower, and maybe we could spend some money, and we could say, hey, level up, or maybe also based on XP. Maybe it requires our tower to be level 5 before it's allowed to upgrade. So what we're going to do in the next video is that when we place a tower, I'm going to make it so that we can click this tower and it'll pop up a widget onto our screen, and then maybe this widget will have some information. We can say how much damage our tower does, we could look at its XP levels, and we'll even have a button to do some upgrades, and that we'll store our upgrades inside of our data table so that we can turn into maybe that upgraded form of the tower. But that will be in the next video. So I look forward to seeing you guys there, because I believe that will be our final video. So one more and we're done.